9 signs you both are holding back your love for a long time. Psychology tricks. The most important things are the hardest to say. Stephen King. Love doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it's two people across a table, pulse up, words down, trading glances that carry more meaning than a long conversation. When real feelings go unspoken, the pressure doesn't disappear, it settles in. Weeks turn into months, sometimes years, and the undercurrent only grows stronger. You won't always spot it in grand gestures. It shows in small patterns, held eye contact, careful listening, a touch that lingers a second too long. If you've ever wondered whether you and someone else have been quietly in love while keeping a lid on it, the signs are there. Below are 9 signals, rooted in simple psychology, that often reveal two people have been holding back more than they're willing to admit. Sign 1. The look that says everything. There are moments when silence says more than 1,000 words, when a single glance, unspoken yet electric, holds everything you've both been too afraid to admit. That look, my friend, is not just a casual flicker of attention. It's a quiet storm, a magnetic pull that freezes time. You don't just look at her, you see her completely, deeply, as if your soul has recognized something your mind is still trying to understand. This isn't about polite eye contact or a fleeting smile exchanged in passing. No, this is about that charged, deliberate gaze that lingers just a beat too long, the one that feels like it's carrying a secret message between your hearts. It might happen unexpectedly, across a crowded room, in the middle of a conversation, or even during a comfortable silence that needs no words. The world seems to blur around you too. For that suspended moment, it's as if the noise fades, and there's only her, only you, and that invisible current humming in the air. That's not coincidence. That's connection. It's one of those subtle psychology tricks that love plays on us, that uncanny chemistry that makes you forget what you were saying mid-sentence. You tell yourself it's nothing, that it's just a look. But deep down, you know better. When her eyes meet yours and hold them, really hold them, it's not by accident. Female psychology tells us that a woman's eyes rarely lie when emotion runs deep. She may say nothing, but her gaze will whisper everything she's trying not to confess. The longer she looks, the louder her silence becomes. You might catch that slight hesitation before she looks away, the tiny smile tugging at her lips, the flicker of nervousness that betrays what she's feeling. That's your cue. That's her heart speaking in code. You can fake words, fake politeness, fake small talk, but you can't fake that spark. It's pure instinct, written in body language and emotion. That's how to fall in love begins, not with words, but with a look that makes you feel seen like never before. Be careful not to dismiss it as nothing. Don't convince yourself it's all in your head. That's the trap most people fall into. They let fear silence the truth. That look isn't random. It's a confession wrapped in hesitation. Don't be blind to it. Don't underestimate the power of what's unspoken. When her eyes light up the moment they find yours, when her laughter comes a little easier around you, when she seems to look for you even in a crowd, you must know something deeper is happening beneath the surface. That's not coincidence. That's longing. That's hidden love trying to find its voice. And here's the beautiful irony. Both of you are probably holding back. You look, she looks, and both of you smile, pretending it's casual. But deep inside, that smile is trembling with emotion. You're both too afraid to shatter the fragile balance by admitting the truth. It's the oldest dance in the book of psychology tricks, the push and pull between what the heart feels and what the mind fears. You think you're protecting yourself by staying silent. But silence is a double-edged sword. It keeps you safe, yes, but it also keeps you lonely. So don't ignore that look. Don't brush it off like it's nothing. Be aware, be honest, and if your heart recognizes that feeling, don't run from it. Because sometimes, love doesn't announce itself with grand gestures or poetic declarations. Sometimes it arrives quietly in a single, stolen glance that says, I see you. I've always seen you. That's the moment two people stop pretending and start feeling. If her eyes soften when they meet yours, if they carry warmth, hesitation, and something you can't quite define, believe me, she's already halfway in love. She may never say it out loud. You may never hear the words. but her gaze tells the truth her lips are too afraid to speak. And that, my friend, is where the real story begins. Because love, real love, always starts with seeing, not speaking. That's the secret language of attraction, the most powerful of female psychology signs. And if you're wise enough to notice it, brave enough to acknowledge it, you might just learn how to fall in love again, not through words, but through that one look that says everything. Sign 2. Conversations that feel deeper than they should. Ever talked to someone and suddenly felt like you'd slipped beneath the surface of small talk, straight into something real? That's the kind of connection that doesn't shout. It hums quietly, deeply. It's not loud love, it's restrained emotion that leaks through every word you don't say. You start with something simple, a random chat about your day, a joke about a movie, nothing special. But before you know it, you're confessing your fears, your dreams, the truth behind the man you pretend to be. And somehow it feels right, the unspoken bond. With this person, you don't have to perform. You don't need to be clever, charming, or endlessly talkative. You can just be. They listen, not the kind of listening that waits for a turn to speak, but the kind that hears. No interruptions, no judgment, just presence. That's rare and powerful. You feel it in the silence between words, in the way they look at you like they already know what you're trying to say. That's when you realize something bigger is happening. It's not friendship, not yet love. It's that strange, magnetic pull of two souls who understand each other's language without speaking it. That's masculine energy meeting feminine depth, steady, calm, and real. It's how high-value men connect beyond surface attraction, where words become touch. Sometimes, a deep conversation feels more intimate than a kiss. It's the emotional undressing that happens long before anything physical. You share stories you've never told anyone, the nights you felt lost, the dreams you gave up on. And you wonder, why am I saying all this? But you don't stop, because it feels safe. That's the secret most men miss. Women don't fall for what you do, they fall for how you make them feel. When you make her feel seen, understood, and emotionally safe, she's drawn to your masculine energy. That's how you attract women, not through games, but through genuine connection. The hidden language of love. When love is held back, it doesn't hide in silence, it hides in conversations. You might never say, I like you, but you show it. By being there, by listening, by remembering the details, by caring in quiet ways. Every, how was your day, carries more meaning than the words admit. Every shared laugh is a promise. Every pause is a confession you're both too afraid to voice. You walk away lighter because you shared something real, but heavier because you still can't say what you truly want to. That's the paradox of love that's held back. It feels more alive in silence than most relationships do in noise. What real men understand. A high-value man knows when a connection is sacred. He doesn't rush it. He doesn't push for more before it's time. He respects the space between words, knowing that emotional attraction often grows stronger in the shadows. He listens. He is intentional. He knows the difference between attention and connection. Because the truth is this, love that's restrained isn't weak. It's disciplined. It's the mark of emotional strength, of a man in full control of his masculine energy. Don't run from those conversations that go deeper than they should. Be the man who can handle them. Be the one who makes her feel safe to open up. Because when two people can talk like that, hearts are already whispering what lips are too afraid to say. Remember this, love doesn't always roar. Sometimes it speaks softly through long talks and quiet pauses. And if you're both holding back, maybe, just maybe, you're not avoiding love. You're building it. That's how the most powerful kind of attraction begins, not in grand gestures, but in the calm, steady heartbeat of two people who feel at home in each other's words. That's not weakness. That's real strength. That's what it means to be a high-value man. That's how you attract women, not by chasing, but by being someone worth finding. Sign 3. You both notice the smallest things. Real love is not a spectacle. It's not fireworks or loud declarations. It's quiet. It's steady. It's in the way you notice the smallest things, the shift in her voice, the look in his eyes, the way their laughter fades when something's wrong. It's that deep, almost psychic awareness that says, I see you. True connection doesn't shout, it whispers. When you've both been holding back your love for a long time, it's these tiny, invisible gestures that give you away. The way you sense each other's moods before a word is spoken, the instinct to reach out when they're struggling, the comfort in silence. As Marcus Aurelius once said, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. When love occupies your thoughts, it seeps into your every action, in the glance, in the tone, in the pause between words. That is old Stoic wisdom. Love doesn't need display, it needs discipline. It's the Stoicism win, mastering emotion, not erasing it. The iron mind doesn't deny love, it channels it with strength, patience, and awareness. In a world where people scroll past one another, where conversations are shallow and attention spans shorter than a text message, noticing the smallest things is rebellion. Don't underestimate it. Don't dismiss it. When you remember how she takes her coffee or when he remembers your favorite song, that's not small. That's sacred. That's proof of emotional presence. Love in silence is still love. It's the kind of connection that stands taller than 1,000 empty I love yous. It's the Stoicism win in the battlefield of modern relationships, choosing awareness over noise, understanding over impulse. Don't let the world's chaos distract you from the beauty of subtlety. In a culture obsessed with the grand and the visible, the wise man knows the real victories are quiet. The old Stoic wisdom teaches that control of self is mastery of life. Apply that to love. Don't react, observe. Don't demand, understand. Don't cling, care. Let's face it, noticing is a superpower in the age of distraction. You must train your iron mind to stay aware. Notice how they speak when they're hurt. Notice what they avoid saying. Notice what lights them up. That is where real intimacy lives. Don't let your attention be cheap. Real men focus. Real men sense. Real men remember. Love is composed of a single soul inhabiting two bodies, Aristotle said. When you both notice the smallest things, it's because that single soul recognizes itself in the other. Don't run from that awareness. Don't bury it under pride. Let it remind you of who you are, strong, grounded, awake. That's old Stoic wisdom in motion. That's how the iron mind wins, not through domination, but through understanding. So stop waiting for the big moment. Stop chasing the dramatic gesture. Start mastering the art of quiet connection. That is the real test of strength. In life and in love, attention is power. Let your awareness speak louder than your words. Let your consistency outshine your declarations. Remember, the strongest love doesn't perform, it perceives. The wisest man doesn't chase validation, he cultivates understanding. And the truest relationship isn't loud, it's alive, pulsing beneath the surface, seen only by two who truly see each other. That's the Stoicism win. That's the power of the iron mind. That's mastery, not of others, but of yourself. If this message resonates with you, give this video a like, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe for more deep relationship insights. Your interaction helps this community grow and spread love awareness. Comment to remember, I am deeply connected through love and understanding. Sign 4. The silence between you isn't empty. Don't mistake silence for distance. Sometimes the quiet between two people speaks louder than 1,000 conversations. You sit next to her, maybe in a car, maybe on a couch. Nobody says a word, but everything inside you feels alive. The air hums with something unnamed yet undeniable. That's not awkward silence. That's emotional electricity. That's chemistry at its most honest. It's the kind of stillness that doesn't demand words because your hearts are already whispering. Be honest, you felt it. That tiny ache when your hands are just inches apart. That pull when her eyes catch yours and both of you look away, pretending to be calm while your pulse betrays you. That, my friend, is one of the oldest psychology tricks in the book, Connection Disguised as Calm. It's female psychology in motion. She won't say it, but her silence invites you in. You don't need to fill it with small talk or jokes. Just be there. Be present. Because when love is real but unspoken, silence becomes sacred. In that hush, everything you're afraid to admit comes to life. The quiet becomes the language of longing. Every breath, every stolen glance, every moment of stillness says more than words ever could. Don't underestimate that. You must understand, this kind of silence isn't empty, it's overflowing. It's packed with all the feelings neither of you have dared to name. It's the moment before the truth breaks free. It's the space where attraction matures into love. And if you want to know how to fall in love without saying a word, learn to listen to the silence. When two people are holding back, the stillness between them becomes a mirror. It reflects everything they're hiding, the "I miss you," the "I wish you knew," the "maybe one day I'll be brave enough." You think nothing's happening, but deep down, your emotions are dancing. The mind tries to stay rational, but the heart knows. It always does. Female psychology thrives in this mystery. She may look away, but her energy leans toward you. She may laugh softly, but that laugh lingers. You can't fake that magnetic tension. Don't talk it away. Don't rush to break it. That tension is how love builds its roots. It's ironic. The more you both hide it, the louder it grows. Every second of silence becomes a confession neither of you meant to make. That's the secret power of quiet love. It doesn't scream, it vibrates. It lives in the spaces between words, in the pause before you speak, in the sigh you pretend isn't about her. It's where psychology tricks turn into truth. You both already know what the other feels, even if you'll never say it out loud. That's not denial. That's human nature trying to protect itself from the risk of rejection. But deep down, both of you are waiting. Waiting for the other to move first, to speak first, to surrender first. Don't wait too long. Remember this. When silence feels like warmth instead of emptiness, that's love trying to break through. Be brave enough to hear it. Be smart enough to recognize what's really being said. That's how to fall in love, not through perfect words or grand gestures, but through presence, awareness, and courage. The quiet moments? That's where love hides until you're ready to let it breathe. So, next time you find yourself sitting in that charged silence, don't run from it. Sit with it. Feel it. Because that stillness, that beautiful, wordless electricity, isn't nothing. It's everything. Sign 5. You both pull back at the same time. There's a strange magnetic dance between two people who are secretly in love, but too scared to show it. It's not chaos, it's choreography. A rhythm of hesitation, a waltz of almosts, almost saying it, almost letting the truth slip, almost breaking the wall that keeps you both safe and lonely. You step forward, then she steps back. She leans in, then you crack a joke to cool the moment. The tension builds like thunder in a summer sky, but neither of you lets it rain. You know that feeling, don't you? The air changes, a glance lingers a heartbeat too long, a laugh feels a little too sweet, a compliment lands a little too close to the truth. And for a split second, everything inside you yells, "This is it. Say it. Do it. Be real." But then snap. You both retreat. You hide behind humor. She hides behind indifference, and the world goes back to pretending nothing happened. Don't kid yourself. That silence isn't confusion, it's fear. Both of you know what's there. You feel it in the way your pulse spikes when your eyes meet. You sense it in the pauses between words. But fear whispers the same lie to both of you. Don't ruin this. You start thinking, what if I say something and it scares her away? What if this beautiful tension is all we have? What if she doesn't feel the same? So you pull back, not because you don't care, but because you care too much. That's what people don't understand. Love doesn't always retreat because it's weak. Sometimes it retreats because it's powerful, because it could change everything. You're protecting something precious by pretending it's small. You play it cool. You stay the funny friend. You hold your masculine energy in check, convincing yourself it's wisdom. But deep down, you know, it's fear dressed as logic. That's the irony of being a high-value man. You want to attract women with strength, confidence, and control. But true strength isn't in silence, it's in vulnerability. It's in risking the truth. You can't win her heart if you keep playing defense. When two people pull back at the same time, It's like watching two magnets that desperately want to touch, but can't overcome the invisible wall between them. That tension, that electricity, that's love trying to happen. Be honest, how many times have you both almost crossed the line? That long look across the room, that moment your hands brushed and stayed just a second too long, that night when everything in you wanted to say, I feel the same way. But you didn't, neither did she. So the moment passed, leaving behind a silence that says more than words ever could. That's the secret pain of mutual hesitation. You both think you're protecting the connection, but you're actually starving it. You're both standing guard at the door of your hearts, waiting for the other to knock first. Don't. Be the one who dares. Be the man who breaks the rhythm. Be the one who steps forward when she steps back. Because that's what masculine energy is. It's movement. It's the courage to say, I see what this is, and I'm not afraid of it. Remember, love isn't built on games. It's built on truth. You can't attract women with endless mystery and half confessions. Real connection demands clarity. That moment you both pull back at the same time, that's the universe asking, who's going to be brave first? Don't let fear answer for you. Step into it. Say what's real. That's how a high-value man turns almost love into something unforgettable. Because here's the truth, you can only pull back from something powerful enough to change everything. And if you both keep retreating, you'll spend your life haunted by what almost was. Be bold, be certain, be the one who leans in. That's how real love begins. That's how real men, men of strength, confidence, and heart make it happen. If you find today's content useful to you, don't forget to share your feelings and lessons with us. Or simply comment, very cool. It's a great encouragement for our channel makers. Thank you very much. Sign 6. Jealousy creeps in quietly. Men, listen closely. When love hides, it doesn't scream. It whispers. And jealousy, that quiet, creeping jealousy, is its shadow. You think you're composed. You tell yourself you're in control. But then someone mentions a name, a coworker, a friend, a stranger who suddenly has her attention. She laughs it off. You do too. Yet something tightens in your chest. That's not weakness. That's the truth trying to break through the armor. As Marcus Aurelius once said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. The Old Stoic wisdom reminds us that feelings themselves aren't the enemy. The loss of mastery over them is. Don't deny what jealousy reveals. Don't bury it under pride. Jealousy, when silent, is often love waiting for permission to breathe. It doesn't storm in with fury. It slips in, disguised, a teasing joke, a sarcastic grin, a pause too long before a harmless comment. That's how the heart speaks when the mind refuses to confess. The iron mind doesn't ignore the feeling. It recognizes it, names it, and rolls it. Don't mistake jealousy for pettiness. It's the pulse of care beating under restraint. It's that part of you that still wants, still hopes, still fears losing what it never owned but always desired. We are never so defenseless against suffering, Freud wrote, as when we love. That's not weakness, that's being human. But here's the truth that Stoicism wins by teaching. Mastery doesn't mean suppression. It means direction. Don't lash out. Don't withdraw into silence. Channel that energy into action, clarity, and confidence. Let your old Stoic wisdom guide you, the wisdom that teaches men to feel without being ruled, to care without being consumed. Jealousy can build or break you. It depends on whether you own it or it owns you. Don't let quiet envy turn into invisible chains. Recognize the signal. It's your mind saying, wake up. There's something real here. Let's be honest, in today's world of constant distraction, social media perfection, and shallow connections, it's easy to hide behind sarcasm or detachment. But the iron mind doesn't hide. The Stoic doesn't flee from feeling. He looks at it straight on and decides what it means. Don't scroll your emotions away. Don't joke your truth to death. Let jealousy remind you what you care about and what kind of man you choose to be. The one who avoids pain? Or the one who faces it, owns it, and grows stronger through it? That's the Stoicism win. turning emotion into energy, fear into fuel, jealousy into understanding. It's the victory of calm over chaos, mastery over impulse, love over insecurity. Don't fear the shadow, it's proof there's still light inside you. Remember, hidden love always leaves footprints, and jealousy is one of them. So don't waste time pretending not to feel. Face it, learn from it, use it. As Seneca said, no man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself. Let that be your call. Jealousy isn't your enemy, avoidance is. Stand tall, rule your heart with discipline, and win like a Stoic. That is the Iron Mind way. That is the Stoicism win. Sign 7. You both go out of your way for each other. You can always tell when someone truly cares, not by what rolls off their tongue, but by what they quietly do when no one's keeping score. When two people are secretly in love, their hearts speak in actions, not confessions. The affection hides in those tiny, everyday moments that look casual to others, but mean the world to you. That's where the real psychology tricks of love live, between what's said and what's done. Don't ignore that. Be honest with yourself. When you find yourself bending your schedule, rearranging plans, or losing sleep just to catch 5 minutes with her, that's not coincidence, it's connection. You tell yourself it's no big deal, but it is. You stay up late helping her finish something. You show up at an event you didn't want to attend. You remember her favorite coffee or the story she told you 3 weeks ago. That's female psychology in action. She notices, she remembers, and she does the same. Maybe she drives across town with something small just because she happened to be nearby. Maybe she checks in right after your bad day, no reason, no question. Don't overthink it. That's care disguised as casual. That's affection wrapped in logic. That's two people both pretending they're just friends, while everything about their behavior screams how to fall in love. Neither of you says, I did this because I care. You don't have to. The truth lives in the gesture. The power hides in the silence. It's in the way she looks at you after you help her, or the way you both laugh over something trivial but meaningful. You both do things for each other that make no practical sense, but emotional sense? Perfect. Don't call it coincidence. Be aware. That's love, quiet, consistent, stubbornly unspoken. The most magnetic part of these moments is the unspoken understanding. That glance that says, you didn't have to, but you did. That shared silence that feels louder than any I love you ever could. That's where love breathes, in the gaps between your words, in the choices you both keep making without obligation. Don't underestimate that. Those aren't friendly gestures. They're love letters written in invisible ink. You both know it. You both feel it. You just haven't said it yet. And here's the truth most people miss. Love doesn't always need to make an entrance. It doesn't always arrive with fireworks or flowers. Sometimes love is subtle. It walks instead of running. It whispers instead of shouting. It shows up in the way you both show up again and again when it would have been easier not to. That's what makes hidden love so powerful. It's love without vanity, affection without a stage, devotion without demand. That's real psychology. Two people quietly teaching each other how to fall in love by example. Don't dismiss the small stuff. That text that says, "Did you eat yet?" isn't just a text. That favor she didn't need to do, that ride she offered when she didn't have to, it's all communication beneath the surface. Be smart enough to see it. Be brave enough to admit it. Those little actions are psychology, tricks your hearts play while your minds try to stay rational. Don't let logic fool you. The emotional truth is louder. So here's the reality. When you both go out of your way for each other, it's not nice. It's not friendly. It's not accidental. It's love dressed in everyday clothes. And when two people keep showing up for each other, no questions asked, no credit expected, that's not just affection. That's emotional loyalty. That's the real thing. Remember this. Love doesn't always shout. Sometimes it shows up in a coffee cup, a long drive, a quiet favor, or a midnight message. Don't ignore those signs. Don't pretend you don't see them. Be present enough to feel them, because those are the moments where female psychology and male emotion meet halfway, silently whispering the same truth. You both already know how to fall in love. You're just waiting for the courage to admit it aloud. And if you've ever gone out of your way for someone just because you felt it was right, drop a comment right now. Love speaks louder through actions. Like this video, subscribe for more deep psychology insights, and remember, real love doesn't need words. It shows up, quietly but powerfully. Sign 8. There's a what if energy between you. You felt it. That flicker in the air when someone teases you both about being more than friends. You laugh. They laugh. You both brush it off, too quickly. But for half a second, the room feels heavier. A glance lingers. A smile stays too long. That's not your imagination. That's the what if energy. It's electric, magnetic, maddening. It's the silent language between two people who pretend not to care while caring deeply. And if you're honest, you've both rehearsed this story in your heads 100 times. What if we were together? What if I ruin what we have? What if this tension is the thing holding us hostage? That's not friendship. That's emotional suspense disguised as platonic safety. The invisible threat. You see it in small things, the teasing, the playful jabs, the way they text you good night, but mean, I wish I were next to you. It's subtle, but it's real. That invisible thread ties you two together, even when you date other people. You act like you're moving on, but your heart hasn't. You compare others to them. You pretend you're fine, but you're still waiting, hoping they'll finally say what you can't. And that's where most men stumble. Because a high-value man doesn't hide behind what if. He acts. He risks. He leads with masculine energy, not hesitation. Don't be the man who waits forever. Don't keep living in emotional limbo. Don't convince yourself that silence protects the friendship. It doesn't, it poisons it. Every unspoken word builds a wall between you. Every maybe someday kills another spark. If you're a man who wants to attract women, you can't stay half present, half afraid. That's not attractive. That's confusion. Be decisive. Be bold. Be honest. Yes, it's scary, but the truth always is. You either speak up, or you'll keep replaying the same old movie, one where neither of you ever gets the ending you both want. The psychology behind what if. Here's what's really happening. That what if energy is a psychological dance. It's mutual attraction buried under fear, fear of rejection, fear of change, fear of vulnerability. You both feel it, but neither wants to risk losing control. It's safer to flirt, to joke, to pretend you're just friends. But deep down, you both know this isn't friendship, it's emotional camouflage. The mind does something strange here. It convinces you that by doing nothing, you're being smart. That by waiting, you're being patient. But in reality, you're just hiding behind logic because your heart already knows the answer. That spark is not accidental. You can't fake that look across the room. You can't plan that moment when your laughter syncs perfectly. You can explain why every other person feels like a stand-in for the one you're not brave enough to claim. That spark? That's love trying to find its voice. And no matter how hard you try to bury it, it stays. You feel it when they walk away. You hear it when their name lights up your phone. You see it every time you imagine a life that might have been. Stop pretending it's not there. Stop waiting for a perfect time. It doesn't exist. You must choose. Be the man who steps forward, not the one who hides behind what if. The truth you both know. The what if is not fantasy. It's real. It's mutual. It's waiting. But it won't wait forever. One day, you'll meet someone else. They'll move on. The timing will change. And that what if will become the quiet regret you carry for years. So don't let it. Be the man who takes the leap. Speak the truth. Risk the fall. Because that's what a high-value man does. He doesn't chase approval, he creates connection. He doesn't hesitate, he acts from confidence. He doesn't suppress his masculine energy, he channels it into courage. That what if between you two? It's not a problem to avoid. It's a calling to answer. And if you're both honest enough to face it, that invisible thread might finally pull you into the love you were both too afraid to claim. Sign 9. The connection feels unshakable. Real love is not a flicker. It's a fire that refuses to die. It doesn't fade with time. It doesn't weaken with distance, and it doesn't surrender to silence. When you see her again after months or even years, it's as if the universe never pressed pause. The rhythm returns. The laughter flows. The warmth in her eyes hits your chest like the first sunrise after a long night. That's not nostalgia. That's the soul recognizing what's real. As the great philosopher Seneca said, true happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future. Love rooted in truth doesn't need to rush, it waits with strength, not desperation. That is old Stoic wisdom in motion: patience without weakness, passion without chaos, strength without noise. Don't mistake time apart for loss. Don't assume silence means the end. Real love doesn't vanish, it evolves. It hides in the quiet corners of your life, waiting for courage to call it forward again. Every time you reconnect, the feeling is undeniable. It's home. It's that whisper inside you saying, "There you are." That voice is your inner truth, your iron mind breaking through the walls of fear and pride. The Stoics taught us to master emotion, not suppress it. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. That's the Stoicism win: mastering love by mastering yourself. You must not let ego, distance, or fear convince you otherwise. Let's be clear, real connection defies logic. You can't explain it, you can only feel it. You've tried to move on, but your heart never signed the agreement. You've argued, drifted, perhaps even sworn to forget, but love like this never dies. It transforms. It teaches. It waits. You must honor that truth like a warrior honors his code. Don't run from what's real. Don't drown it in distraction. Don't hide behind the armor of "I'm fine." That's weakness disguised as strength. Real men face the truth head on. Real men hold their ground with an iron mind and live with purpose, not pretense. So, what's the lesson here? It's simple yet profound. If the bond still feels alive, then it is. Don't let pride destroy what time itself couldn't. Take the old Stoic wisdom and turn it into action. Be the man who faces emotion without being ruled by it. Be the man who chooses clarity over confusion, truth over comfort, courage over retreat. That is how you win, not over someone else, but over yourself. That is the Stoicism win, when you refuse to let fear dictate your story. When you understand that love, like strength, doesn't scream, it endures. In today's world of quick texts, fleeting attention, and disposable feelings, this kind of connection is rare. Treasure it. Respect it. Protect it. Real love isn't found in perfect timing. It's built in perfect truth. If you still feel it after all this time, it's not weakness. It's a reminder that something greater is calling you. Don't let it go unspoken forever. Don't wait for someday. You must act. You must choose. You must become the master of your heart and the commander of your destiny. Because in the end, the man who leads with strength, patience, and an iron mind doesn't lose love, he earns it. That's the essence of old Stoic wisdom. That's how you win, not by chance, but by courage. So, if you've been feeling that quiet pull between you and someone, don't ignore it. Love doesn't always come with a big announcement. Sometimes it whispers through the little things. My advice? Don't let fear keep you from something real. Life's too short to keep love locked inside. Be honest with your heart, and when the moment feels right, be brave enough to say it out loud. Thanks for watching, my friend. If this spoke to you, give it a like, share it with someone who might need to hear it, and remember, love grows where courage begins. See you in the next one.